David never considered himself the kind of man younger women noticed. Experience had taught him that attraction was often reserved for the youthful, the energetic, the ones who hadn't yet seen life's ups and downs. But then there was Emma. She wasn't obvious about it. In fact, if he hadn't been paying attention, he might have missed it altogether. But something in the way she looked at him made him question everything he thought he knew. Started with the eyes. A fleeting glance here, a lingering look there. At first, he assumed it was coincidence. But as days passed, he noticed a pattern. Each time he looked up, she was already watching him. The moment their eyes met, she'd look away, just a little too quickly. It wasn't avoidance. It was something else. Curiosity. Attraction. Whatever it was, it stirred something in him, something he hadn't felt in years. Then there was the way she played with her hair when they spoke. At first he thought nothing of it. But it happened too often to ignore. She'd twirl a strand between her fingers or brush it back behind her ear, as if to keep her hands busy. It was subtle, unconscious. Almost as if she wasn't aware she was doing it. And when she leaned in, closing the distance between them, he felt the shift. It wasn't just about hearing him better. He knew that much. She was engaged, interested. The rest of the room seemed to disappear when she spoke to him. Her body language wide open, inviting. He noticed the way she moved, too. If he crossed his arms a minute later, so did she. If he leaned back in his chair, she did the same. It was never immediate, never deliberate, but it was there. A quiet mirroring of his movements. He'd read about this before. How people unconsciously mimic those they feel connected to. But seeing it in real time directed at him was different. Then one day she touched him. It was so casual, so quick that anyone else would have missed it. A light brush on his forearm as she laughed. A gentle tap on his shoulder when making a point. These weren't grand gestures. They were small, deliberate moments that left an impression. He couldn't ignore the way she bit her lip sometimes, especially when he spoke. It wasn't exaggerated, just a quick catch of her lower lip, a subtle sign of nervous excitement. And when she wetted her lips before speaking, it wasn't because they were dry. It was something else, something unspoken. Her body language told a story of its own. She never turned away. Her arms weren't crossed. Her feet, pointed toward him, gave her away before she even spoke. Everything about her posture was open, welcoming. Then there was her laugh. He wasn't a comedian. He knew his jokes were average at best. But she laughed anyway. Not out of politeness. No, this was different. Genuine. A kind of laughter that made him feel like the most interesting man in the room. One afternoon, as their conversation drifted into comfortable silence, he caught her looking down. Not in boredom, not in distraction. It was the kind of glance that came with a small, barely there smile. And when she looked up again, there was color in her cheeks. The final clue was the simplest one. She was always around. Whether it was finding a seat near him or lingering just a little longer after their conversations, it became obvious. Emma wasn't just passing time. She was making time. David had spent years assuming attraction had an age limit. That a younger woman couldn't possibly be interested in someone like him. But body language doesn't lie. And now, the only question left was, what was he going to do about it?